Coming up, Ireland on the ropes as Lebanon gets the rub of the green. The Kangaroos humiliating Scotland worse than Edward Longshanks. And the Rasta men celebrate like they've won the World Cup by scoring their first try. Yes, hello, and welcome back to the Sideline Chat podcast, the one-stop shop for rugby league. Along with Mark Henry, I'm Conor Marcells, and today it is your Rugby League World Cup Week 2 debrief. It's 1 week away from the quarter-final stages, and already they are starting to take shape. But before we get into that, we got to go through the round and 3 fixtures of the Rugby League World Cup, starting off with the Kiwis hosting Ireland.
Well, yeah, New Zealand, let's just say, destroyed Jamaica by a long shot. But the good news then is Jamaica did score the first World Cup try, and my word, did they celebrate that one.
A couple of changes for the sides that we do have. The other 7 fixtures have not been named at this point. No Liam Byrne and no Robbie Mulhern. And for Jed Corcoran's side. So Dan Norman now moves to start in the front row with Jamin Jolliffe. The back row remains unchanged. With Henry O'Kane and Ronan Michael amongst the reserve. I got to say, I expected more out of the Ireland side than what we did receive.
Yeah, it wasn't the prettiest for him, wasn't it? And I had to say the same as you. I think I said to you off air last week or something like that, that Ireland could have been in for an upset, but obviously they were nowhere near it to be, unfortunately.
6 from 8 unofficially in my results. I got the Ireland result wrong and I got the Italy result wrong.
I honestly can't remember. So I can't honestly remember who I selected and didn't
as
select.
for the Kiwi side?
For the Kiwi side, we have pretty much got what Michael Maguire says is the best 17 he has available. Leota and Neokore are set to miss another week with Latini Zalesniak nursing a calf strain. Well, Hargraves is named after serving his suspension, which he picked up in the qualifying final of the Telstra Premiership. Dylan Brown is back from illness, so Jerome Hughes will play his first World Cup game after overcoming a thigh strain. We have also got Brittany Okora now set to join Charles Nicol Klukstad and Nikore as opposed to given Charles at left centre for Brittany Nikore. I'm getting it all mixed up. Who else have we got change-wise? Asafa Solomona is into the second row with a new role, which pushes Isaiah Papali'i back to the bench. And I believe that is it. I could be wrong.
As well as, of course, the return of Ronaldo Mulatalo and Joe Tarpany into the side on the left wing and at lock forward, respective. Now, you did touch on the Kiwis did enjoy a good win against Jamaica, demolishing them 68-6, whilst Ireland was thrown off their game by Lebanon, 32 points to 14.
All right, want to start New Zealand or Lebanon?
Let's start with the Kiwis.
All right, so the Kiwis just complete and utter control, really. I have to say, it will come down to the most try-scoring weapon that they had on the night was Dallin Watene-Zelezniak.
I do have to agree with you there. Dallin Watene-Zelezniak had an absolute ball of a night for New Zealand. 4 tries, 3 try assists, 279 run meters, 4 tackle breaks, 7 line breaks, and 3 offloads. But that was just David and Goliath. That was just the Kiwis overwhelmingly the superior side on the day against a side that's in their first World Cup. We've got to keep that in mind. Jamaica are still in their first World Cup despite having 25 international matches under their belt, which is, for a sport that's not usually associated with rugby league, that's actually pretty good going.
That's a very solid effort. And the experience, the international games is like a taste of what the World Cup is, but the World Cup is like next level. So, the results haven't been obviously going their way, but the finally get the first points on the board was absolutely brilliant scenes to see, especially how the try was constructed. It was off the kick. The Kiwis made an error. Ben Jones Bishop at 32?
Pretty close.
He's in his early 30s anyway. Picked up the ball and scored, and they celebrated like they won the whole bloody World Cup. But it was absolutely brilliant to see.
Wouldn't you have done the same thing if you scored the first ever try?
Yes, I would have. But still, it was absolutely brilliant scenes to see. Something like that. It's kind of like a bit of a fairy tale film, you could say.
I mean, from our perspective, we are a tier 1 nation. We're much further along than Jamaica is. But even you would have to sit up and just say, yeah, good job, guys. You scored your first try in the Rugby League World Cup. It only took you 2 weeks.
Yeah, but still, I think even at the ground, the Kiwi fans were absolutely getting into it as well. I think when Jamaica scored, the whole stadium erupted. And I think they even said in a commentary too that even the Kiwi fans would have been getting involved in this. And the Kiwis are a more dominant side than what Jamaica are, but you kind of like to see the lesser, experienced squads do very well. And this is the case like Jamaica.
But the right-hand side was just dominant all night for the Kiwis. I think you look at that edge, the Cora, Foreign, or maybe it was Manu, because he literally has license to roam anywhere he pleases these days.
Yep.
Peter Hiku, and of course Dallin Wateni-Zelezniak, as we touched on. They said he could have scored 7 tries down that right-hand channel.
I'd say he could have, if he didn't have to come off with his...
Oh, no, of course.
But speaking of his cramp, he still managed to get a fourth try.
He limped over to score the 4th try. Not even the best Jamaican sprinter could have stopped him at that rate.
No. But hey, scoring that try with that cramp right as he about to launch off the ground into the air, that was pretty incredible. I think that one had to be one of his best tries that he scored against Jamaica, although the long range one was still pretty good too. But the one with the cramp stands out to me the most for DWZ. Also, Jeremy Marshall-Kin's first try. Was it Jeremy Marshall-Kin? If he just kept it in the in-goal area, I'm pretty sure it was.
You tell me.
Well, I've got written here that was Jeremy Marshall-Kin. So, yeah, his first try, they put the kick through and it almost went... They got the bounce and he got the ball from in the air and he just managed to grab it, pull it in and score just before the dead ball line. That is pretty remarkable. Even, they say winners are a bloody breed of their own. Well, I'm going to say dummy halves are not far behind.
Well, dummy halves are opportunists that get good play the balls and then they just take on lazy marker defence. Now, on the other side of the equation, Ireland were humbled by Michael Checker's side for his 2nd win as head coach of Lebanon.
Yeah, like we just touched on earlier, Ireland would... The other say a bit disappointing to what we thought would have happened. I think we both thought Ireland were going to get the win, or
I tipped Ireland for an upset.
I think I went with you.
Based on the 2 results, you had New Zealand demolishing a 12-man Ireland side with Dewey getting sent off for dissent against the referee, and then of course Ireland was taking on Jamaica. But I thought even against Lebanon, based on the 2 sides. You look at this side that they feel in a spine, Myler, Keary, Keys, O'Hagan, and from York. That's a pretty decent spine that they ran out with. And with all this top-flight experience, you got 3 from the Huddersfield Giants, you got 2 from Hull KR, you got 1 from Warrington, Canberra, the Roosters, Leeds, Canterbury with Josh Cook, all well represented here. And they just got... They lost their temper, and James Bentley, I would think, is a little bit guilty because we've seen how good Bentley is as a player. And he had a good game last time out against Jamaica. But this time, the Lebanese defence frustrated him to the point where he just unsettled the Irish coolness, the Irish discipline to the point where they were just able to dictate terms to them. And you could see in that first half, with the scores at, I believe, 20-4, Lebanon had them where they wanted them.
Yeah, exactly. And you have to say, the guy who guided them around to do that was Mitch Moses, but you also chuck in Jacob Carraz too, who had outstanding first half.
Yeah, I would agree that they were my 2 standout players from this encounter. For Moses, 143 run meters, 2 try assists, 1 tackle break, 2 line break assists, and 6 from 7 goals converted. Jacob Carraz, on the other hand, one try assist, 168 running meters, 5 tackle breaks, 1 line break, and 2 offloads. But I mean, the way he scored, it was sort of like, if I remember correctly, one off the ruck, Carraz gets the ball, and he just dives to the line. That was it.
Yeah. It's unfortunate that Carraz couldn't finish the game because he later on accidentally copped a knee to the head. But the time that Carraz was out there, he absolutely blitzed it. I think he had an outstanding game. And that's carrying on the back of the momentum he's had with the Bulldogs at the back end of the season, or the mid-season. There's
actually talk he wants to be the Dogs' fullback going forward.
I could see him be there.
Give him time.
Eventually.
I think eventually, but I think he's sort of seeing it as well, that if he remains injury and suspension free, he'll play in 24 games across 2 seasons, so he'll have 48 games to try and prove his worth at fullback. And he's contracted till the end of 2024, as I just mentioned, which means he'll put pressure on Avarillo, depending what happens there as well, because he's found his home at fullback as well.
Bloody oath he has. But we have to wait and see what happens there.
Now, focusing here, well, this is a game Ireland needs to win. But their for and against got erased slightly by Lebanon, and they can't afford the Lebanese to get a win over Jamaica. That's their problem.
Yeah, but the rate that the Kiwis have played pretty much the whole entire World Cup, it's going to be a very, very tough task indeed for Ireland to beat a dominant Kiwi side.
The best case scenario that Ireland would hope for to get into the quarterfinals against the Group B winner, they would need Jamaica to win. Just win. That's all it is. Because Lebanon, -4 or on the differential. Ireland still a positive 28, despite the good start they had in week 1. But they need a Jamaican win to go through to the quarterfinals. Otherwise, Lebanon's going through.
And who's Jamaica got heading into this last?
Lebanon.
It's a bit of a tough one, isn't it, really? I mean, well, to an extent. I mean, you want Jamaica to do well, but they just haven't been there all World Cup compared to Lebanon, where, they beat...
They had added against the Kiwis for the early stages until the send-off, and they bounced back in fine fashion. Look, I think, you look at this on the odds, the Kiwis, as you said, they are fielding in their best side possible. I got to go New Zealand. This is going to be a 13 plus. I think they'll bully Ireland through the middle of the field, and then Joey Manu and Jerome Hughes, I don't think he'll have much involvement, but he'll still do enough to get Manu onto the ball early, and I think it'll be a carve-up.
Yeah. Look, I'm going to say New Zealand to win this one. I'm going to say more than 13 plus. I'm going to say probably more like probably 30 plus. It's a big call, but you just have to see.
It's the realistic call.
It's a realistic one.
It's a realistic call, but it's been a disappointing campaign for Ireland if they can't achieve a victory here. But hey, look, that's the prerogative if you got to live by.
Yes.
Now, Group A fixtures come into focus. England versus Greece at Bramall Lane in Sheffield. So far, the host nation enjoying I think they're riding on a high, but a downgrade on their performance against Samoa, downing France 42-point wins to 18, whereas Samoa towed up Greece 72-4.
Yeah, Samoa absolutely smashed Greece out of the park. I don't think Greece even turned up, to be quite honest with you. And I have to say, with Samoa, you've got the Penrith 5'8" of Jerome Luai, plus the winner of Brian To'ai on the same side. We know how well they go in the Premiership, and they're pretty much linked up again in the World Cup. And Luai really stepped it up and took control of the Samoan side.
Samoa needed to respond after being humbled by England 60-6 in the opening. They were joint World Cup favourites. England written off, and then they came out to St James Park in front of 43,000 and said, "You want to get Old Trafford? You got to go through us first."
Exactly.
And they turned the whole World Cup on its head. England are now amongst joint favourites, I reckon, in my opinion, to win. And I think based on their draw, depending who they face in the semi-finals, I think they've got on a clean shot at waiting to happen. But You're right about Jerome Luai. 1 try, 5 try assists, 172 run meters, 9 tackle breaks, 1 line break, and 4 offloads. And that is your response right there. A massive turnaround for Toa Samoa.
But could Samoa be a smoky too, coming into the finals or playoffs or whatever you want to call them? Well, could they take it to a top side? Like
the Kiwis, Tonga, Australia, England. Well, they didn't take it to England. England took it to them.
Well, speaking of England, like you said, England were written off before the World Cup. You think England would be one of the favourites, being it's their home
tournament?
Yeah, exactly. You think so, but that's not always the case.
Look, I think, like Jamaica, it's an accomplishment enough that Greece made the World Cup qualification and now are recognised as an official sport by their own government.
That's good to hear. Hey, this is why it's got a World Cup, because it promotes the sport to different countries.
And it's not like the Greeks are amongst the teams that will most likely not get a win on the board. It's not like they've been the worst side. I mean, they've got 3 tries to their name already, including one to Maguios, I think, from memory, in that best try of the tournament they scored against France in the first week, off the Magoulias chip kick, because, of course, it had to be Billy Magoulias involved.
Yeah, exactly. I had to say, Greece's try against Samoa, that was pretty decent as well. I mean, it's always a risk running on the last tackle, right? But they somehow put it off. And they put it off. It's become more and more of a common thing that teams are starting to run more on tackle 5 instead of just putting up the kick if they're like about 30.
Chancing their arm, that's what you want to see. It doesn't always work. I mean, you've got a 1 in 2 chance of it working.
Exactly.
Or not. But, I mean, good on them. They're here. I mean, they are probably making up the numbers. What do you reckon of the blowouts? I've heard some criticism that there's too many European sides involved in the World Cup.
I mean, if they qualify for it, they qualify for it. I mean, there's really no argument about that. You can't change the qualification system. Well, you probably could, but
a review, I would maybe encourage a review. But, I mean, think of it this way. I hear too many European countries. Think of it this way. If you just say United Kingdom on its own, so you would have England, Wales, Scotland, Ireland, all united into one. So there's one.
Yeah.
France, of course, that's a place where you want to re-establish the game. And other than that, Greece, Italy. That's really all it comes down to. I mean, you got half the field of Euro, but really only 4 if you count all the home nations of England as one.
Exactly.
And then, of course, you got Lebanon representing Africa, Middle East, Jamaica representing the Americas, or the world segment, and then, of course, you got everyone else in the Southern Pacific represented, from us, the Kiwis, the Cook Islands, Fiji, Tonga, Samoa, Papua New Guinea.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you could argue it that way, but if you count England as representative of also Scotland, Wales, Ireland, that's just one country on its own. So there's actually more Pacifica and Oceanic countries than there are European, but it's semantics, I would argue.
I mean, yes, there have been some blowout scores, but you don't look at the sides. Like, some of the, like Australia belting the hell out of Scotland, or like Samoa belting the hell out of Greece. You have to look at the side, like the teams, and like where they how many games they've played to each other. Like, you have to say, just say Samoa, Greece. The Samoans have definitely had more game experience as a team and nation than what Greece have had.
I mean, just on the sake of balance, right? Okay, so you've got Wales, and you put them in a pool with Tonga, Papua New Guinea, and the Cook Islands. They got towed up so far. It's 50-18 against 4. Jamaica, you put them in a pool with the Kiwis and in with Lebanon, though Ireland has had their share as well. 1 try to show for and 116 points against. Yeah. Of course, Scotland was always going to suffer. For first at the hands of the Australians, just single-handedly, that's all they're for and against. There's just 84 points is Kangaroo alone. And then you got I believe it was... They played... Oh, no, and then the rest are all Italy. That's right. They played Italy first, and they are due to play Fiji. We'll touch more on that. As for the home side, I think it was a bit of a downgrade in performance, but still looking so strong out there.
Yeah, England just absolutely killed it. This just showed what they are capable of.
From the word go, England were in control of that clash, and a big clash against France as well, because that one could have gone either way. A loss for England, it would have been an insurance policy, but a win for France... well, they had an insurance policy against Greece, but a win for France would have seen them book a quarter-final spot, and then would have had to have ensured that Samoa didn't beat them on for and against.
Yeah. But like you said, England were just too big, too strong for France,
but there was that period where it was practically a contest. I think the first 2 tries from France...
brought it, I think, a try difference.
It was 18-12 at the break. It could have gone either way. France looking to cause a major boil-over.
They did, but England put the foot down.
5 minutes in. It only took 5 minutes.
England put the foot down. England put the foot down like what Dom Young did to score the intercept try.
But, I mean, first you had Arthur Morgue step up to the plate because, of course, the best talent in French Rugby League had to do so. And then you had Eloy Pellissier jump out from dummy half, and he's just like, "Ha you pathetic English defence. We are not done here yet, no?" That was bad French. I'm probably not going to do that again.
Yeah, it was. Then you're going to probably cop a lot of criticism from our French fans.
If they're listening. That's the problem with us. We're still a small platform despite doing this for almost 2 years. If we actually did a serious advertising campaign and got ourselves good, then there might be pushback. But until that day, we got to make do with our very, very... We'll call it a micro audience we've got, but it's still a micro audience that listens to us.
Yeah.
But it was just a joy to watch. And Ryan Hall, I can't leave Ryan Hall out of this conversation.
Jeez, I wonder
2 tries, 236 run meters, 7 tackle breaks, and 1 line break. There was a concern that breaking up this good partnership between Jack Welsby and George Williams would have hurt England here. But it turns out it didn't hurt anyone whatsoever.
No, it certainly didn't, though. I mean,
Dom Young on the other side of the field.
Like I said, he put the foot down.
90 metre, a scorcher of a try.
He's in red hot form, and you can even tell, like, when he was playing for the Newcastle Knights this year, when he gets the ball, he's on. He just needs to be...
he's on.
Yeah.
But John Bateman back, I think this is now England at full strength. They've got Welsby. They've got 4 packed with the likes of Bateman, Radley, Thompson, and Burgess, as much as you can get with no Walmsley. Callum Watkins, Ryan Hall, the elder statesman in the side, still going strong. And, of course, the ever-green Sam Tompkins at the back doing his job.
Yeah.
Actually subbed off for Jack Welsby in this one. What do you make of that tactical
That's
switch?
probably a tactical thing for later on in the World Cup. Like come the finals, I reckon. Could be on.
Yeah, definitely. Or just to try and ease the workload. But other than that, this is a one-way traffic. England win big here again, and they will go into the quarterfinal stage undefeated.
If they get the win.
Which they will.
Which is more than likely they will, yeah. I'm going to say England win this one 40 plus.
Any score lines that we haven't yet instituted, but all right. Now we got a double header of Group B fixtures coming up. Starting off with the Fiji Bate up against Scotland. Of course, Fiji responding into their loss the previous week with a rousing 60-4 win over Italy after being drubbed by Australia, whereas the Scots drowned out 84-0.
Do you want to talk about the Aussie victory
We'll
or
talk
the
Fiji first. We'll
Okay.
leave the Aussie Edward Longshanks to second.
Okay. Pretty much like the Australian match we're going to touch on very soon. Fiji were just in control and never looked like they were going to lose that match against Italy.
I tipped Italy to cause an upset, and based on the form that they showed against the Scots, the ball movement they used against it, I thought they would play it the same way. But apparently no one told Viliami Kikau that, and he came out and settled the scores. But really, the morale of Italy just went down early, especially Kevin Nagama's first try. The ball went to ground. Nagama pounced on it. And the Italians were just slow to react.
Yeah, by the time they reacted, Nagama was halfway down the field, for God's sake.
Mason and Policelli should have been diving on that ball the moment it went to ground, not letting the Fijian captain go through when he sees an opportunity.
Yeah, and Nagama's got some speed on his, so it's going to be hard to catch. But yeah, Italy was way too slow to react to that situation.
And then the wrecking ball that is Viliami Kikau. He mightn't run 100 metres a game every time, but his impact cannot be underestimated. And this is his impact he had here. 2 tries, 1 try assist that he set up for Micah Sivo, 67 run metres, 6 tackle breaks, 2 line breaks, and 3 offloads. Just absolutely tormenting the Azzurri.
Yeah, he definitely did. But that's what you get when you get a big body in there like Kikau. He can destroy any team across the park, really.
Just the field artillery that the Fijians were able to field in this clash at Kingston Park. Just absolute demolition job. Kikau, of course, the double. Micah Sivo got the double. Pio Penioni, Itagatu Uamua, 2 tries as well. Then, of course, you get at the likes of Coruscant, Wakeham, Taruva in the halves. And it was just absolute domination. Yeah. Well, halves and spine, I should say. And then, of course, Corbin Sims an emergency SOS. Final World Cup campaign for him. And didn't disappoint.
No, he certainly didn't there. And like you said, his final World Cup campaign.
Final forward domination from the Bate that led to victory.
Very much so.
And the back line, of course, you got Taruva, Sivo, Valame, Nagama, and Arawalavu. I think I got that one right.
Well, even Italy, they were very lucky to get that try on the board. Whether or not you call it a legal try or not is the question.
Go on.
Well, Italy, they went up to the video referee and they did award it a try, but it looked like it was very touch and go to see if his foot was out on the sideline or not. But apparently it wasn't, and it was a try, but it was very, very touch and go.
That won't be the only controversial try we'll be talking about out here. We'll touch more on that soon. As for their opponents, the Scots, well, this was to be expected. They got drowned out by the Kiwis 5 years ago in Christchurch. Now the Kangaroos have exacted probably the biggest score of the World Cup to this point, and also one of the tries of the tournament.
Yeah, Australia absolutely belting Scotland, 84-0. The rate they were going, they could have replicated the Australian-Russia match
from 2000, 110-4, but no.
And the rate it was going, if there was more game time, Australia could have got there.
The Kangaroos just grounded the Scots into the ground. Even with all their experience they got, they were outclassed, outgunned, and obviously outscored.
And let me guess, Ado Carr got 4 of those.
Everyone would be saying Nathan Cleary in his first test match for the Kangaroos has got the job as man of the match. I say Josh Addo-Carr.
Yeah.
4 tries.
Not being biased because the Bulldogs
195 run meters, 7 tackle breaks, 4 run meters. No, of course not. It's not. I am only looking at the numbers and the impact that the players had.
Yes, I know.
It's just pure coincidence that the standout players for Australia, Fiji, Lebanon, and so far Australia, Fiji, Lebanon, and New Zealand all happen to be current, future, or past players that have all represented the Bulldogs. It is pure coincidence.
Unless there's one good thing that the Bulldogs have done or are doing, is getting good rep players over the past and current.
But the Burton-Fox combo is what was the standout out before or was here. Of course, you had Cleary just pulling the strings of all the tries. The banana kick for one of Addo-Carr's tries. No, the cut-out pass over the top of Lachlan Walmsley. That was pure class.
It certainly was. But what about even Addo-Carr's last try? When Burton, it looked like it's going to go over the sideline, Burton flicked it back into Addo-Carr.
Yeah, hello. Centenary Test calling for Inglis and Gasnier clones to the cricket ground.
It was pretty much like that, except the sideline, not the dead ball line.
But it's still the same logic, and
Yeah,
we got a good try to celebrate at the
We
end
certainly
of the ball.
did, and it had to be the Fox to finish it off to get his fourth try of the match. But yeah, Australia, that's way too good. Scotland, where
Their World Cup campaign is effectively over again.
yeah,
They're not even going to be able to settle for a draw this time. They are going to get obliterated by the Fiji Party. 13 plus going the way of Fiji.
Yep, have to agree with you right there.
And following up at the Totally Wicked Stadium in St Helens 2.5 hours later, it will be Australia versus Italy. This will also be another one-sided affair, and Australia win this 13 plus.
Yep, I'm going to even probably say they might even beat the scoreline of what they did against Scotland. There you go. That's me big call. I'm going to say Australia to win 70 plus.
Your big call, all right.
And beat the scoreline against Scotland.
Lebanon against Jamaica for the final, or Group C fixture. Lebanon only needing the win to beat France into the... not France. Ireland into the quarterfinals. Got my pools mixed up for that moment. Look, I mean, the Jamaicans have been trying, but they've just been belted all over the park. I mean, we saw what they did to the Irish last week.
But it is...
And the good news is they do get Adam Dewey back, so Michael Cheika will have his first choice side ready and raring to go.
Yeah, and like I said, it is Jamaica's first year in the World Cup, so you had to give him a little bit of slackness.
But this will go a long way for development.
Oh, bloody oath it would.
And back in Jamaica, and of course, as they said it in the first match in Leeds, large Caribbean community in Leeds. So, of course, it was perfect opportunity to stage a match for them there.
Yep, very much so. But this one, yet again, one-way traffic, you reckon?
Yeah, it's going to be one-way traffic here. Lebanon will win this.
I'm going to say Jamaica. Nah, I'm going to actually go and say Lebanon win this one by, I was going to say 13 plus. It's going to be another blowout.
Group D, where it's get interesting. Tonga versus the Cook Islands. And, of course, Tonga, a strong showing against Wales, 32 points to 6. Whilst the Cook Islands went down to Papua New Guinea, 32 points to 16.
The Tonga-Wales game, I mean, Wales, I have to say, was the surprise packet to score first.
Well, they did the same thing against the Cook Islands as well. You got to keep that one in mind. Kyle Evans, it's the Wakefield wing, pouncing on a loose ball from Tonga and rushing away to score the first try of the match. And the only try of the Welsh.
I was going to say the only try for the Welsh, and then Tonga just went on from there on in, which you have to say...
Was to be expected.
Was to be expected. Like, not only the experience of the Tonga and the Wales side, but the size of the forwards and the back line between Tonga and Wales was absolutely massive.
And when you got a centre pairing like Talakai and Conrad Hull, you might as well be saying your prayers.
Yeah. There's just the sheer size of the Tongan team.
And the height of the backs as well, because, I mean, Daniel Tupou, 3 tries, 217 run meters, 5 tackle breaks, 3 line breaks, and 2 offloads. There was just no way the Welsh could have matched that.
No way. And you beat me to it. Daniel Tupou did what he does best, and that's scoring hat-tricks. How many times has he scored a hat-trick this year? In general, heaps.
Well, he's definitely got a whole stack of braces to his name. He's just one of the most consistent try scorers you'll find.
Very much so. I have to say, I can't remember exactly the lead up to it, but he was lucky that he was very unlucky.
The tournament that never was.
Yes.
Yes, the kit that looked like a blade of grass. A blade of grass denied them the try of the tournament.
Yeah.
So close.
So close, but yet so far. Yeah, but he was so unlucky not to get that try. Like, seriously, come on. I would have just given it to him.
You would have been thinking if they didn't send it upstairs, because of course Casey Badger did have to check it off. The touch judge probably couldn't see, because that's the thing with touch judges. I mean, they're good when they're definite, but when the ball is bouncing and it's just like quick snap out of the fingers, is like that. You don't know whether that's actually touched the grass or not.
Exactly.
So you would be whispering in the ear of the referee saying, hey, look, I'm not sure if the ball touched the dead ball line or not. Just send it upstairs, have a look.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we had the video referee to help out cases in that instant, not to
Honestly,
take control of the match.
I will say I am grateful that they do not apply the rules of the NRL here, where you would have awarded a try and then take it off later.
Yes, they need to bring this back to the NRL. The stupidest rule that was ever invented.
Thought it was good initially, but then everyone quickly realised that it was just ridiculous.
Yeah, it was. And is.
So
But yeah.
as soon as that scraps, I think the game will be almost perfect.
Pretty much. But yeah, Tonga too good for the Welsh.
Yeah, another poor World Cup campaign there from another one of the UK home nations.
That's it.
But now, speaking of controversial tries from the Papua New Guinea perspective, Anthony Gelling got away with a lucky try. A very contentious try in his Cook Islands loss to Papua New Guinea. It was judged that he, quote, grounded the ball when it looked like it was a knock-on.
Yeah, it was very touch and go indeed, and there was a bit of controversialness to it, but
it didn't really hurt the Cobbles, I must
No.
say. I mean, they were in command of it from the word go. Roderick Ty, his first try, he just stepped and he was away.
yeah,
That was it. That's all he needed. One step, and a Papua New Guinean winger breaks everyone down.
and that was Papua New Guinea at the full strength squad.
Well, no Xavier Coates.
Well, near all but full strength. Because remember what they did earlier in the year. I can't remember if it was against the Cook Islands or not, and they did have like the likes of
Fiji. It was against Fiji.
And they didn't like have Alex Johnston or anyone in there, but they've got Alex Johnston and all that in there now, and look how well they can go.
But
I mean, they did really well against
Roderick
Fiji as well.
Ty, he was my man of the match here. He had 2 tries, 182 run meters, 6 tackle breaks, and 2 line breaks. Just
Write that one down because it's not a Bulldogs past, present, or future player.
that was pure coincidence. Nothing to see here.
That's what they all say.
But I think this is going to be a highly entertaining matchup we've got right here between the two sides. Well, Tonga against the Cook Islands, I must say. This is pivotal for the Cook Islands.
Well, the Cook Islands, they did play some pretty good footy. You have to admit that.
They were resilient against Wales to bounce back after they jumped to an early lead. They let the Cormorants run ragged over the top of them.
But there were parts of the game where the Cook Islands were trying to stay with Tonga and were staying with Tonga, but then...
I haven't played Tonga yet.
Oh, sorry. PNG, sorry. My bad. The Cook Islands was trying to stay with PNG, but in parts of the game, but just couldn't quite stick with them for the whole match. And I think their inconsistency is what hurt them in this one there.
Now, coming out at Middlesbrough, at the Riverside Stadium, all Tonga need to do is win, and they're through to the quarterfinals. The Cook Islands, well, they're guaranteed. For and against will probably ensure they stay top of Group D. But who joins them in the quarterfinal stage is the question, because you've got Papua New Guinea and the Cook Islands, probably the likeliest of the two. But not if Tonga gets the win here.
It's going to be interesting to see who wins this one. The Cook Islands will definitely need to try and really muscle up in defence in front of the big Tongan pack.
Well, I mean, you got Fafita, Kafusi, Murdoch Masilla, Fanua Blake, and Jason Taumalolo. He will tip the scales in Tonga's favour, and I think they win big 13+. I think this will be his first game of the tournament, and he's coming back at the right time.
I'm going to say Tonga will win this one, because it's going to be hard for Cook Islands to muscle up in defence. But I'm going to say the margin's going to be 7-12.
You reckon the Cook Islands could give them a good run for their money?
If they don't let Tonga slip away.
Yeah, I don't think.
But I'm going to say, like I said, I'm going to say Tonga's still going to win, but in a lesser margin.
Yeah, I think you're slightly optimistic over this one.
But hey, it's predictions. Stints aren't meant to go wrong.
Well, true.
Hence why it's called predictions.
True. I mean, I was 6 from 8 last week, but
I don't know what I was last week, so...
a slight downgrade from 8 from 8. So, hey, look, 14 from 16 is not too bad.
No, that's pretty good.
Now,
Probably better than what I'm doing.
back at Warrington once again, where we have Toa Samoa against the Tricolore of France.
Yes, we certainly do.
I think this is do or die for both sides, really, because I think with Greece out of the running, either one of these sides realistically could make it to the quarterfinals. But I think Samoa can't afford to fall into the trap of, oh, look, we destroyed Greece. We did it easy. The French were able to hang in against England for a good 10, 15-minute period. And they are relatively strong themselves, though, I mean, pales in comparison to sort of the Samoan names you got in that team sheet. The pack's going to be a big concern. But I think the Maverick style that the French have played could challenge them.
It could be. I reckon this could be the closest game of the tournament. Before the finals, obviously, because the finals are going to be fairly close indeed. But I reckon this one could be a fairly close one.
Either side I could accept going through to the quarterfinal match against Tonga. But as much as I'd like to see the French get through, I mean, I honestly think either way it wouldn't matter because I think they guaranteed the feature at the World Cup they're hosting anyway. So I think practically they're guaranteed to feature already, even if they don't win. But it would be nice for them to see them go through and try and build on that progress. Of course, they got Trent Robinson for there as director of rugby, trying to build this new French era of Trésiste 13.
Yeah, that's true there. And like in Super League, we had the first time 2 French sides.
And they could be back again if they can get it in before the IMG recommendations take full effect.
True.
But that's a story for another day. Otherwise, I think Toa Samoa more than likely will feature in the quarterfinals with a healthier record than they did 5 years ago, 13 plus over the French.
I'm gonna say Samoa will win this one, but I'm gonna say another 7-12 margin. I reckon the French could give it to them.
I would like to see the French win, but I gotta acknowledge if they just stick together to what they did to Greece. They're going through, and they'll play Tonga. And that will probably be the best quarterfinal.
Samoa versus Tonga, that'll be a freaking absolute sellout, I reckon.
Depending. And finally, we have Papua New Guinea up against Wales. This result can only go one way. We've seen...
In favour of Wales!
You moron.
Sorry, PNG.
Yes.
I know, I was being smart ass.
Defensively, Papua New Guinea has been... Well, they were able to push Tonga all the way and therefore eating of the tournament. They dismantled the Cook Islands early on to a healthy lead. This will be a formality against Wales. There's really nothing I can say about the Welsh that
hasn't already been said.
Any positive that they could take away, I think.
Well, I'm going to say this. Wales has scored a first try again.
That's what you get. Then they can start good, but they can't back it up.
And then PNG will absolutely flog them.
Yes. I think when you got stars like Martin, McDonald, Olam...
And Martin has broken the record.
Unfortunately, he got denied that record.
Oh, that's right, he did too.
It was unfortunate that he could have nailed 42 conversions in a row, but unfortunately, he missed out.
But he equaled it with 41.
A remarkable record. I think that was probably the most disappointing highlight from the World Cup you could probably get.
Yeah, but hey, 41 straight conversions, all goals.
Having not missed since June 9th against Castleford.
That is unbelievable. Hey, he could always restart it again if he starts off the Super League season very, very well. Well, that might set him up nicely, barring injuries and suspensions and the likes.
Well, we'll see what happens, but I think Papua New Guinea will go through and they will play England in the quarterfinals.
See, that would be another good matchup, PNG versus England.
It would be a rematch from 5 years prior because they too met in the quarterfinal stages down in Melbourne.
Yes, when I was in Australia in 2017, the last World Cup.
Yes, it is certain.
But yeah, PNG 13 plus,
that's all
easy.
The round 3 fixtures of the World Cup out of the way. Let's do a little bit of bonus news that we rarely do because of the way we structure our podcast. The Betfred World Club Challenge.
Yes, it sounds like it is gaining traction to be hosted in Australia, I believe.
The time in the NRL. The third time in the NRL era, having previously been hosted at Allianz in 2014
and Amy Park
in 2018. The last
against
time.
Leeds, was it? Melbourne, Leeds, yes.
Apparently, Penrith officials have informed the NRL that they would like to use their second trial match to stage the World Cup Challenge a week before the NRL kicks off on the 2nd
And I
of
reckon
March.
it won't be at Penrith. It won't be at Accor. It will be at Allianz, I reckon.
So you reckon they will want to take Penrith versus St Helens, they will want to stage it at Allianz Stadium.
We think Accor Stadium because it's a bigger ground than that. But Allianz is the newest stadium. They want to show off the newest stadium to a English club. That's just a prediction.
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. It would probably be logical that the newest stadium that the NRL have lobbied for, and this was on another note that we don't talk about. This was a contentious political issue.
In saying that, if it's not at Allianz, Combank.
Combank, but more than likely, I think it will be at Penrith because the fans will want it there.
Oh, yeah, but...
As for the case of the reigning champion St Helens, Super League will start on the 16th of February.
Oh, we've got a draw, have we?
Well, no, that's when we know the season kicks off. We haven't got the fixtures yet.
That's a very early start to the season.
By that logic, it'll be Friday the 17th of February. And if it's to be staged before the March 2 kickoff, that would mean St Helens would only go in with at least 2 to 3 pre-season fixtures, 1 proper fixture, and then straight into the World Club Challenge. More than likely, I could probably see it.
Did they say the reason why it started in February? That's very early on.
Well, that's just what they've agreed to.
So it'll be finishing in, like, what? August? Or early September?
Depending, but sort of the language of the Penrith board, the officials, they said, according to this Nine News paper article from the Sydney Morning Herald, Penrith officials had no appetite to drag some of their stars to the other side of the world because so many of them are already playing the World Cup in Britain. Panthers boss Brian Fletcher told the Herald he had learned of St Helens' visit on Monday after initially thinking the game would be spiked yet again. You spiked the last attempt to get the fixture going again.
Yeah. How ironically it would have been against St Helens.
We've got word today that our second trial, instead of being against another NRL side, the NRL investigating how they can bring St Helens to Sydney. We'd love for it to happen. It'll be great, a game for our fans out of Penrith. It'll be great for the area, something different, and also give some of our younger boys the chance to run out against a quality side. That's
Fair
probably
point.
where I'm sort of seeing the attitude here.
Yeah.
They say quality side, but they're going to be... by the sound of it, they look like they're going to be resting the big guns for this.
Yeah, which you don't want. You want the best of the best against each other. Like the best of St Helens up against the best of Penrith. But in saying that, I know we're in the World Cup now, but most of there's a fair few, or all of St Helens players already over in England. But then you got a fair chunk of the Penrith players over there. Why not do it after the World Cup? Because they're both over there anyway already, most of them.
This is what they say already. Well, I mean, you have to fly the remaining 11 players on a long-haul flight from Sydney to Manchester.
Yeah, but some of them are already over there.
This is what they also mention here, that they have 3 Kangaroos representatives, while Samoa include Stephen Crichton, To'o, Targo, Taylor May, and Jerome Luai. So that's over 5 or so big names, as well as the 3. So that's 8 big names already. And as it's quoted here, should both of these nations feature in the final, they will not be reporting for training until the end of January, less than 3 weeks before the St Helens game.
Yeah, so probably if they've got off-season surgeries that they need and all that stuff, which is fair enough.
Well, I still reckon Penrith dogged the Saints in the last attempt to bring the World Cup fixture. The World Cup Challenge fixture.
Because they didn't want to pay for St Helens to come out? Is that right? The host
St
station...
Helens wanted Penrith to subsidise their travel costs because they did... All the English clubs subsidised the Australian side, the travelling side's travel costs. They wanted Penrith to do the same thing. It was only $500,000 they were asking so they could come out and prepare. But at this point, St Helens will get round 1 done and dusted, and then they'll have to fly out. And I think the earliest to this point would
that be St Helens round 2 game will be affected?
Well, either they'll have to play it midweek or they'll have to have it delayed until another point.
Yeah.
But the earliest I could probably think and they want it Friday night, so it will more than likely either be the 24th of February or it will be the 26th.
Yep.
And then Penrith, and then probably for their reward, Penrith get the bye in round 1.
Probably.
Well, I mean, actually, they'd probably want the Premiers to play, but that's sort of what I'm reading out of this. That's sort of.
We need to wait. We need to really wait and see how this plays out. Like, 1, when the Super League draw is announced. 2, when the NRL draw is released, and then go from there, kind of thing.
Yeah, but they're sort of treating this as their second trial match. But this won't be a trial match. This will be the 2-time reigning NRL Premiers who are looking to gun for their 3rd straight trophy. Not achieved since the early 80s by their Western Sydney rivals in Parramatta.
But in saying that, you're up against a 4-time champion on the trot in St. Helens.
Yes, an unprecedented reigning 4-time champions who have been champions for close to 1,110 days at this point, who are probably in the best position possible to go for 5 in a row.
Even with a new coach.
New coach, 2 key players returning from injury. This side there is no weakness in this side.
No, absolutely not.
And they are not the same side that went up against the Roosters would be against the Roosters 3 years ago, the last time this was played. This is a completely different St. Helens side.
Bloody oath it is. But it's pretty much the core of it, it's pretty much the same.
But essentially what Penrith are saying is, you drag your stars all over to the outside of the world rather than the tradition of, we go over there, you come to us.
Pretty much.
But I think if they can hash out the travel costs, I wouldn't mind seeing the World Club Challenge come back again.
It would be nice.
It would be interesting to see the barometer where both the NRL and Super League is at the moment, with the IMG recommendations fast on the horizon.
Yeah.
Another interesting thing here as well, a decision on the Manly and Melbourne for round 0 in the United States.
It was Manly and South.
But South pulled out, remember. That was the case. If you remember correctly, if you've seen previous discussion on this channel, we noted it would be Manly and South Sydney until the Bunnies pulled out. Now apparently Melbourne are in the box seat, with a discussion to be made by the end of this week on a meeting with the ARL Commission that was set to go down yesterday.
Won't go ahead.
We'll see.
I've got a strong, not a strong case, but like how many times have they talked about Manly South going?
Well, now it's Manly Melbourne. But the question, again,
but it never went
comes
ahead.
Back to that same question. Will this fixture go ahead?
No. Probably
not this year. Even though Andrew Abdo in recent days has sort of said it's on the table as well as the Ashes series. Speaking to Wide World of Sports, he did contemplate potentially holding a fixture in the United States.
Still won't go ahead. They talked about it too many times and it's never, ever happened. So I don't think this one will go ahead. I won't believe it until I actually see it confirmed.
Well, that's the thing. It is still up for debate on the agenda. And this was only from a day ago. And it will be considered as part of the NRL's efforts to push the game internationally.
Fair enough.
And I think I have got the quote down here. He says, "We are absolutely looking at it from, again, 9 newspapers. Growth in the game in America is real for us. We believe rugby league is the best professional sport on the planet, and an opportunity to take that to a market like America is enticing for us. And it's certainly a consideration for the draw next year."
Fair enough.
And as just a quick note on the Ashes before we wrap things up. Of course, Mal Meninga has called for the traditional kangaroo tours and the Ashes to be recommenced for the first time in 20 years.
Good, so it should be.
And that creating a dedicated international window in October, November is critical to that. The right amount of content in the right markets, and that we want to foster what we see in the Southern Hemisphere, a great opportunity to connect communities across Australia, New Zealand, Tonga, Fiji, Samoa, and Papua New Guinea. And of course, they obviously want rugby league to thrive in the Northern Hemisphere, England, France, and surrounding countries, and that all of this is going around what the next 5 years looks like. Of course, when the next broadcast deal comes.
Yeah, and that's what you said. We need an international window.
We had one, but we scrapped it because Origin.
Yeah, but now maybe Malmanica had been listening to our podcast and heard your thoughts and has come out as...
I highly doubt the big man would have heard
anything. I know.
Two blokes with two microphones, less than 100 subscribers, zero influence...
Yeah, I know, but still, Harry come out and said that, and you said that, numerous times on this podcast about it.
If you have been listening, you know my view, who's on a dedicated window, but of course, money is the big problem. This is what certain individuals in my private life have told me, money makes the game go round. You can't have a strong international game if you're going to sabotage both the domestic and the origin products.
Yeah.
But I think if we can work to a happy medium, I wouldn't mind it. And I think there have been calls, I think Jason Robinson has been vocal about this, the Wigan legend, saying that we can't, I think mainly on Super League side, but I think this applies to the NRL, that we can't keep doing the same things over and over again and expecting a different result. So Northern Hemisphere is sorting its shit out up north, and of course we're starting to sort of want to see, the Kangaroos is a good brand to market off. Maybe we should be playing more test matches. Maybe we should be going on tours again, and we can construct the draw in a way that can actually work for everyone. We can have our origin. See, this is the way it used to work. In the 90s, we could have had this. We could have a 3-game State of Origin series, no international fixtures. We could have a Kangaroo tour at the end of the year. We could have the Pacific Islands play. We can have England and France come out.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to seeing what exactly are the plans moving forward. But
it's looking a little bit clearer. Let's put it that way.
But on that note, it is full time from us here. If you enjoyed this part or any of the other debriefs we've done in the past, make sure you leave this one a like, hit that subscribe button, and click the bell to ring for notifications so you never miss a week of rugby league action. Don't forget to give us a follow on our social media pages so you can keep up to date with all podcast updates and gaming if we ever commit to it.
That's your fault.
On Facebook and on Instagram, you can find us at Sideline Chat, and on Twitter, you can find us at Sideline Chat RL, which is one of our hashtags, alongside SideChatYT. Hope you enjoy all the fixtures of the Rugby League World Cup, starting from this Saturday morning, of course, UK time, and we'll run through. But I'm definitely looking forward to seeing the final makeup of the Rugby League World Cup quarterfinals. But until then, along with Mark Henry, I am Con Marcellus, and you have been listening to the Sideline Chat. We'll see you next week.
Toodaloos.